travels out at the speed of light.
See how it applied to what I was interested in, and that made
It's so nice to see so many girls on this mission. It's like,
This is
so
a
great.
tribute to the phenomenal success of our asteroid observation programs.
I'd like to welcome you all to the Michael J. Drake Building in the Southwest Meteorite Auditorium for a wonderful celebration. So last Wednesday on May 15th, we presented, myself, Mike Donnelly, presented to the NASA Agency Program Management Council the results of a long series of reviews and a lot of hard work by a fantastic team. And we were confirmed by NASA to proceed into Phase C, which is a very big deal. So I would just like to, first of all, start out thanking everybody. We're here to celebrate the accomplishments of all of the effort leading up to that selection, but more importantly, all the enormous amount of work that this team has done since then. It is a fantastic honor to be able to lead a team like this, hopefully to inspire them to greatness, because we're on an amazing journey. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tim Swindle, the director of the Lunar and Planetary Lab, who picked up the other half of Mike's responsibilities.
Yes, it only took two of us to fill part of what Mike did. But it's an honor and a privilege to be here. One way to look at it is that it's approximately 10 years into a 20-year project, because it started, as Dante said, about 10 years ago, and it will be another 10 years before the samples come back. And we're midway through, and there are a number of other passages going on. Of course, the great one, and the thing that triggered all of this, was getting the confirmation, which is a spectacular achievement. My thanks and congratulations to the whole team. But anyway, I think this is a wonderful night. Passages are always a little bit bittersweet, except for confirmation. There's nothing bitter about that. That's just great. But, I welcome all of you on behalf of LPL. My congratulations to the OSIRIS-REx team, and enjoy.
So we're going to move on to unveiling Mike's portrait. And fair warning, this is going to be very hard for me, because I love this man very much. Because he was a kindred spirit. We were always scheming and plotting and planning, and he embraced that, and he encouraged it, and he gave me the resources to succeed. And I wanted to pull this picture up because we both look pretty good. And this was just a side road that we went on here. So after the Discovery 12 decision, where we didn't win and Grail went forward, and it was a great success for Lockheed Martin and a great science mission, I needed to accomplish a couple of things in order to make sure that in the future OSIRIS and what turned into OSIRIS-REx was going to be successful. Right around that time, Google had announced that they were offering the Lunar X Prize, which was the $30 million contest to land a privately funded spacecraft on the moon and have it rove, I think, 500 meters or something like that. And it turned out the most profitable scheme that we came up with that people were going to pay us for was for $1 million a kilogram, we could deliver human ashes to the surface of the moon. And that was actually going to be something that we could pay off. But, I mean, he was a real free spirit. He had a great love of life. He definitely encouraged you to pursue your dreams, to pursue your wild ideas, to push the boundaries, and have fun along the way all the time. So he is a huge influence on me. Every day I work on this project, I get to honor his memory. And I think, Gail, are you here? You want to come up? So this is Gail Jorgensen, Mike's wife. Please.
Thanks, Dante. You guys are doing a great job. Mike knew you could do it, and you're doing it. And it's just very impressive and so great to know that his dream is, that you're keeping his dream alive. I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
1, 2, 3. Early on, he gave me all all the resources that I needed to succeed. He taught me an enormous amount, not only professionally but personally, about how to live your life, and I really miss him. Thank you. And as much as OSIRIS-REx is a representation of Mike Drake's legacy, Joe, it's your legacy too, because I know you've poured your heart and soul into the success of this mission. It's been a great honor to work with him. I consider him one of my great friends, and I'm very happy to honor him here tonight. One of the ways that we're going to do that, if we could bring up the next chart, is that we did successfully get an asteroid named after you, Joe. You will be forever remembered throughout human history as having a minor planet in the solar system named in your honor for not only your work on OSIRIS-REx, but for all the great contributions that you've made to NASA programs throughout the years.
I like to think a little further back than 2004 when we proposed the mission to Mike Drake. Dante, one of the great things that Mike did right off the bat was bring Dante in. That's been a tremendous asset. The other thing he did was say, keep it simple. And we've tried to do that. The tag maneuver has gotten a little more complicated over the past year or so as we found out how challenging it really is to touch an asteroid, keep the spacecraft under control, get our sample. It turns out that when you blow gas, it does tend to hop. You get a real ground effect that we really hadn't anticipated very well. But I like to go back to the summer of '94. Actually, in that time period, Ben Clark, who really came up with this mission asteroid sample return. Back in the '90s, he had IRAD money and was looking at a variety of ways to sample an asteroid. We did 8 proposals. I had a number of vice presidents say, you ought to focus. You shouldn't be doing so many. You ought to pick 1 or 2 and really put all your effort in that. We didn't have much money. So what we would have thrown out were the 2 sample return missions we were proposing. It turned out that we won the 2 sample returns, first Stardust and then the next round Genesis. So I was able to work on both Stardust and Genesis in that first phase A study. I look forward to being on the OSIRIS-REx recovery team in '83. I'll only be 85 then, so I want to be on UTPR when I
Thank you, Joe. Okay, tonight we're also honoring the career of Peter Smith, who has also announced his retirement. We tapped Peter right away to be our lead instrument scientist on the only mission-critical instrument on OSIRIS-REx, the OSIRIS-REx camera suite. And Peter jumped in with both feet. He was there to help us through the earliest proposal stages. He's been a member of the team since day one. But the day that I received his letter was actually very touching for me, and I became also very emotional about it, just to know that he had made his decision and I supported it, but that it was a time of change and those aren't always easy for us.
I have prepared a few words.
All right, let's get a photo. I'd like to get a photo.
Yes, it's true. In 5 weeks, I'll be gainfully unemployed. The time has come to live off my assets and not on them. But this brings to an end a wonderful career at the University of Arizona, starting when I entered grad school at the University of in the College of Optical Sciences 38 years ago. But for me, I was newly married with a newborn daughter, Sarah. I was full of hopes and dreams. I entered the world of modern optics expecting to get a PhD and to delve into mysteries of light and the complex interaction of light with matter. However, 2 years later, somewhat disillusioned, I quit school with a master's degree, divorced my wife, and left for India. Where I met Arthur C. Clarke, my favorite science fiction author in Sri Lanka. We spent a day together, and through his friendly manner, we actually played ping pong for several hours. And his joy of life, I realized what it meant to be successful and happy. He set a goal for me. But I returned to Tucson broke and skinny. Having spent most of my career in a windowless room next to the men's room, which is where Bashar spent, I think, about 15 years of his life, staring at numbers on a computer screen, being thrust into the spotlight by the phenomenal success of Pathfinder was a shock that I was unprepared for. So on the first press release, after the successful landing of Pathfinder, they put me as the first speaker to the millions of people in television land. And not having ever done a press conference in my entire life, I didn't know what to do. So I pretended I was talking to my mother, who was as technologically disadvantaged as any human being on this planet. And I said, you know, let's tell the mission from the perspective of the camera, which was the IMP camera, and we'd actually put a little smile on its face and two eyes, and it was very humanistic. So I said, well, when they sent us to Mars, they didn't give us the good seats. We were in the economy row. We had the solar panel on our face. We were looking down. We had a parachute down the back of our neck. And all together, we are going to Mars because this camera represents everybody. And as I was talking, I made the mistake of looking at Dan Golden, who had eyes that would pierce steel. And he looked at me like, you'll never work for NASA again. I thought, the room erupted. Everybody loved it except Dan Golden, who gave me a look like I would never forget in my life. But everything was lost in 1999 with the crash of the Mars Polar Lander. All the dominoes fell down. We lost everything. But everything changed after an intense competition, and my most important proposal ever that has changed my entire life. Dana Tiedemann agreed to marry me. There she is, the love of my life. People have been asking me what I'll do with all my free time, but there's several possibilities. Of course, one is to play with my new granddaughter, Sasha, who's just turning a year old in a few months. The other, I'm thinking about writing a book. I'm going to share some of my health secrets. The 6-minute workout to perfect abs is going to be the title. I think Chris and Dean would like to get a copy. I'm interested in ergonomics. Don't mold the chair to the body, mold the body to the chair. This can be extended to the couch. So I have great plans, but I'm not going to teach. After all, I have no class. And we know that as teachers age, they just grade away. So, but I do have some regrets about retiring. I've heard that you never get a day off. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite up some folks that would like to make some additional remarks. We've got coming up a roast of Joe Vellinga, I believe, from Scott Hovarder from Lockheed Martin.
This to me about an hour ago. I didn't know what to do with it. But, thank you, Dante. On behalf of Lockheed Martin, it's an honor for me to be here to recognize both the OSIRIS-REx team and Joe Vellinga for all the hard work he's done. Joe has had an amazing career, and I didn't realize that until I was asked by Heather to come speak, and I started rooting around and finding out all I could know. I have friends in HR, so I got his HR files. That was interesting. Joe started his career in 1958 at the Marquardt Corporation. Believe it or not, he started as a propulsion engineer doing analysis for inlet control systems and was a propulsion engineer on the early Apollo programs. When our space race was tooling up and the Russians in America were going at it, we all know about Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, and all the astronauts, but Joe was that core of engineers who came out at that time and made it all happen. And we see that dedication and that kind of work and everything that he does. Like Dante says, I see Joe every morning. I get in early. Joe's coming in with his lunch. And I try to leave early, but I'll tell you what, Joe's there late every night and still coming in early in the morning the next day. It's amazing to me all the things that Joe does. Joe did Star Wars. This is the interesting part of what I got at HR. He was the payload manager for Zenith Star optical payload. Nothing in Wiki, nothing in Google, nothing anywhere. There's a black door over there, it's closed. Whatever Joe did must have been pretty cool, but I don't know what it was. I could not find anything about it anywhere whatsoever. So, I mean, if it's not on Wiki, then it's somewhere locked up forever, I think. It was very, very interesting. Joe was probably the only person in industry who's been responsible for 2 missions to go all the way through selection, Stardust and OSIRIS-REx. He was still the Stardust program manager when OREX was starting. He overlapped. Very interesting in his career. The best thing that I saved for last, of course, was I got an interesting story about Joe and talking with, I'm not going to use any names because Joe will go back and get them. But early on in the Stardust program, when Stardust was actually out there doing the mission and waiting for the sample and the sample was coming back, Joe and Nick Smith and Steve Price went out to UTTR. And they wanted to check out where's this thing going to land. They're out there in the Utah desert in the middle of the winter. And there was a UTTR guy and an Air Force guy. They got him in a 4-wheel drive and they drove him out there. And the 3 Lockheed guys to get out of the car, they have a couple shovels. They're digging holes in the snow and they're checking the dirt and they're looking at all kinds of things. And they're out there like half an hour, an hour and a half. And kept looking inside the car. The 2 Air Force and UTTR guys are looking out there and they're kind of laughing. And they didn't really understand why. Finally, all the Lockheed guys piled back in the car and they're like, what were you laughing at? And they said, it's clear you Lockheed guys don't get out of the office very much. If you want to stand out here in the middle of winter in Utah and dig holes through the snow and the dirt, you really need to do something else. And luckily for Joe, he can get out of the office as much as he wants now, because at this point in time, he can come in when he wants to, not when he thinks he has to, because that's been the norm for him. He's always in there, he's always part of the team, he's always doing everything he can to make it a success. And it's been an honor for me to work with him. I think everybody else feels the same. And I just want to thank you, Joe, for all your contributions. Digging in the dirt.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay, next I think Heather Enos would like to come up and say a few words.
All right. All right. Well, this has been a long haul getting here, but so as I reflect on our team and all of the wonderful talents each and every one of you brings to the table, I've had to stop and ponder the unique qualities that Joe brings and has brought to the OSIRIS-REx team. So Joe has a style that's very unique, but also very effective. He has the ability to make decisions and be firm, but he does it with an incredible grace and gentleness that's not easy to do. So thank you, Joe. That's really, really a skill set that many of us should look at, admire, and take forward as we move forward. So I'm honored to have had the opportunity to work closely with Joe, and I will miss you, Joe, but I certainly have sat behind you and observed you and have tried to take lessons learned so we can move forward and take all the wonderful qualities you've brought to the team with us as we move towards our launch and eventually sample return. So thank you, Joe. Okay, so where's Peter? Peter Smith. Where is he? He's somewhere, huh? So I think as we sit here today and we think about the success we've had on OSIRIS-REx, we should all be very grateful to Peter Smith for his successes on the Mars Pathfinder mission as well as the Phoenix mission. These accomplishments really helped put the University of Arizona on the map and gave NASA the confidence that we as an institution have the ability to successfully execute the OSIRIS-REx mission. So we do owe a huge amount of gratitude for Peter for having the vision and the success in those missions to allow us the opportunity to do this next big and wonderful mission. So thank you, Peter. So Peter, as you enter the next chapter of your life, I have nothing but confidence. I have no confidence in you. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. And I have every bit of confidence that you'll continue to have a positive influence on everyone you touch and everything you do. So thank you. So Peter, you referred to me as a black diamond once, and I'm pretty sure you were talking about a ski slope. But I'm going to refer to you as a black diamond in the true context and tell you that I can say you are truly a black diamond. You're rare, you're beautiful, and stronger than the standard diamond. So thank you, Peter, for all that you have done for the University of Arizona, planetary sciences, and for me personally. So, closing, the last person that we were remembering tonight as we unveiled Mike's portrait is, I just like to close with saying that Mike had an amazing vision for the OSIRIS-REx mission and played a huge role in molding our one-team culture. He recognized the importance of people and reinforced at the end of the day, it's the people that are going to get us over our toughest hurdles. He would be very proud we have stood together and have continued to work to a common goal of successfully returning a sample to Earth. I do wish he were here tonight to celebrate in a successful milestone as we march hard and fast to launch. But I have to believe he's watching from afar. So in Mike's memory, I ask you to keep these words close to your heart. Alone, we can do so little, but together, we can do so much.
I'd like to thank you all for your attention, for supporting us tonight, to thank the team one more time, to thank and honor the memory of Mike, and especially to thank Joe and Peter for their outstanding contributions and to wish them well in the future.
All right, so also in Mike's memory, and Joe talked about this earlier, the keep it simple approach. So we often refer to keep it simple and kiss the asteroid gently, and we want to keep that philosophy. Let's touch and go. In any event, when we kept talking about the keep it simple and it became the KISS method, we continually kept saying, well, then kiss my asteroid. And so, yeah, exactly. And that's what we want to do, keep it simple and kiss the asteroid. So here we have your party favorite for tonight is your special edition mug with Kiss My Asteroid. So that's the story behind it, is keep it simple, and we also want the KISS approach on the asteroid. So it's very gently touching, taking some of the sample and bringing it home.
Thanks, everybody.